Uh, yeah. So we're 11 weeks into the NFL season. Um, it hasn't gone the way we thought it was going to go. The way we expected it to go, um, definitely is not how it's going. Uh, Joe Douglas is officially fired as of today. No longer the general manager of the New York Jets. You fired the coach. The team is 3-8. You're literally staring down the barrel of a full blown rebuild. And I'm sitting here telling you guys, like, it almost feels like the same old Jets would have actually been a better outcome than what we're experiencing right now in the 2024 season. And so, yeah, man, I guess episode 32. Let's talk about it.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance. You know that I got the mother sauce. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance. You know that I got the mother sauce. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance man.
Congratulations, brother. Hey.
And here we go.
Yeah. I just it's just one of those things where you're seeing it with your own eyes, right? Like you've got a chance to witness this. This isn't like a mirage. Like we've all been watching this Jets team let us down for the last 11 weeks, and to arrive here at this point where it's you can't explain it. I think that's the only word um really that it boils down to. You just can't explain it. You don't you don't expect the team that had such hype coming into this season to finish the season the way that they have. So to start or however you want to look at it, the season in all actuality is over. If you're a Jets fan, you're talking about a freaking team that has Aaron Rodgers on it. They have Braylon. They have Brees Hall. They've got Brees Hall. They've got Devontae Adams. They've got Garrett Wilson. An improved offensive line, and for the life of me, how they wind up being 3-8 in a year where you thought you were all in. Like this was supposed to be the year where it all came together. This team was able to go ahead and finally put the defense together, put the offense together, and go to the playoffs, be relevant again. They were supposed to give us what we experienced the last time we made it to an AFC East, AFC championship game. This is the most talented roster I think the majority of us can honestly say that we've been able to witness. And somehow, some way, this team is it's the worst team I think I've ever seen performance wise in my life as a Jets fan. Now that might seem like hyperbole, right? But if we're being honest, I think the majority of us had expectations that have far faltered from what we were expecting. Like this isn't even remotely close to the outcome we thought we'd be having right now. Listen to this, man. Like the New York Jets weren't just favored by us. Like it wasn't just the Jets fans. It wasn't just the content creators. You had legitimate hype for this team. Individuals predicting this team to be the number one team in the AFC. This team making the Super Bowl. This team making a deep run to the playoffs. This team competing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like that's how comical it got in terms of what it now in hindsight, how comical it is that we were in those conversations just 3 months ago. Just 3 short months ago, the New York Jets were in those conversations. And now reality has hit. We can all wake up. And the fact of the matter is, this team isn't even good enough to be considered the same old Jets. Think about that. Like, I feel like if it was the same old Jets, we'd probably have more wins on the board right now. I don't think you can even consider this team in the same realm of being the same old Jets. That's just a disrespect to that moniker, the same old Jets. Um, this team is bad, man. Like they're bad, and I say that because I have no clue like how we fix this. Like I have an idea, right, based off of some bits and pieces I've seen in regards to other content creators, kind of trying to put a plan together for this rebuild we're about to go into. But the fact is honest is just if we couldn't win with this team, I don't know. I don't know if it's in our it's in the near future for us. I don't know if it's in our cards. Um, Joe Douglas getting fired today was, I think, the icing on the cake, right? I don't know how most of y'all feel about it, but I was a huge fan of Joe D. I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't. I enjoyed watching this man fleece individuals and trades. The Jamal Adams trade will forever be one of the ones for the record books in terms of what he was able to get for Jamal Adams. Sam Darnold when he traded him as well. Like he's been able, in my opinion, to fleece some teams and bring in an abundance of assets for the Jets fans to go ahead and look competent for a time. I think the problem really lies in the fact that he built a loser. Joe Douglas, for all of the great, you know what I'm saying, like asset management, for all the awesome videos of him feeling like he got the guy he wanted in the draft and all that stuff, he built a loser. He built a loser. I think we convinced ourselves this team was capable of being a winner, but when you get the head coach wrong, when you get the quarterback wrong, when you get the left tackle position wrong, I think that should have kind of let us know the kind of direction we were headed as an organization. Those are pillars. Those are pillars in a rebuild. Those are pillars in the organization, in the sport of football. You got to get, you want to get at least two of those right, but you can't miss on all three. And we missed on all three. We missed on all three. Whether it was Zach Wilson, whether it was Salah, whether it was freaking Mekhi Becton. Overall, they were all bust. Literally, all bust. Now, I know there's a bunch of Joe D truthers out there who still believe like we probably did this prematurely. And I mean, I guess I can understand, right? Because the concern now becomes who's going to do a better job at accumulating talent the way he has. But let's not forget, man, this is a guy that still, that still allowed us to go through the season last year with Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and the corpse of other quarterbacks last year when Aaron Rodgers went down, who made no kind of moves whatsoever. A man who put all of his eggs in one basket going into this season, that Aaron Rodgers was going to be the savior. But he did add talent to this team. I'm not going to pretend like we weren't all just hyping this man up just recently in regards to having one of the best off seasons that we've seen. You figured adding the guys like Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, you drafted Olu Fashanu, showing that you really understand the importance of securing the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. You made the trade for Hassan Reddick. Devontae Adams was on the horizon. Like, I'm not going to pretend like we weren't excited about the moves that were made, because I still stand that we made some pretty good moves. But the problem is this. Unfortunately for us, it doesn't matter because he's a loser. Therefore, he built a loser, and you're seeing that loser output right now on Sundays. That's the product that Joe D brought us, man. I think he has a 30-64 record as a general manager, something that in all actuality is, talk about having a leash. Because at 30-64, like most individuals would have been fired a couple of years ago, we gave him the opportunity to go ahead and get this thing done right. It just never happened. It just never happened. You look at the guys like the Aaron Rodgers of the world and the Tyron Smiths of the world who came in here, and you were expecting them to go ahead and be pillars in this freaking run we're hoping to make towards the Super Bowl. It's funny now to say it even out loud. The Jets Super Bowl in the same sentence. It's just pure comedy. But Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. This isn't the savior we thought we were getting. I think the majority of us were hoping at the very least that the Aaron Rodgers we got was going to be a guy in the mold of what we saw in that last year in Green Bay, except healthy, right? I think a lot of us made the excuse that, with the injury to the thumb and that perhaps that's why, like, he played poorly. But the fact of the matter is, man, Aaron Rodgers has not been good. He's been mid, less than mid even. You see, if you go back and you watch tape, you're seeing a lot of open players not being taken advantage of. Aaron Rodgers can't see the field. I don't know what happened to him, because a lot of times when the guy's arm is still as powerful as his is, the IQ is supposed to go ahead and just elevate the longer you're in the game. Like, you're supposed to see the field better, the game slows down better. For Aaron Rodgers, it looks like it's just gotten too fast for him. So the experiment is over. I see, I see my boy Nick, and he's saying season's not even finished. It's going to get so much worse. So okay, I didn't see the whole comment until I scrolled up. Yeah, and that's the crazy part, right? Like, I actually think it's going to get worse. But when I say that, I want to make sure I reiterate that in the terms of getting worse, I mean, like, they're going to start winning meaningless games. We all know it's coming. All of us here know it's coming, right? The Jets right now, I think, are in that top 5, top 7 range for picks. Could get up to as high as, if I'm not mistaken, as top 3. But now that they're no longer valid, now that they're no longer matter, the Jets are going to go ahead and win meaningless games. They're going to win just enough games to miss the playoffs, but also to go ahead and keep us outside of the top 10 in terms of draft capital. In that sense, I think it does get worse, right, in terms of what we're going to see. But I can't believe that in 2024 we've been punished again as a fan base with this team playing like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I really believe that this is going to be one of those things where, like, when they're doing the documentary of the New York Jets, they're going to look at this season and it's going to be like, man, in 2024, the New York Jets had one of the highest rated freaking rosters. They had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. They were expected to go ahead and become contenders. And it marked yet another rebuild and the collapse of Aaron Rodgers' career. Like, this is how Aaron Rodgers' career is going to end. And of course, it's as a New York Jet. And it's going to be the stuff that analysts talk about. It'll be a season that's studied by general managers and coaches of the future, trying to figure out all the things not to do when it comes to running their organizations, because the Jets gave them this blueprint of, you know what, you can have all the talent in the world, and it just doesn't matter if you're a shit organization. And at the end of the day, that's who we are. We are a shit organization. They provide us with a shit product, and the only people that seem to care is us, the fans, because you'll have guys like like Ahmad Gardner, who'll sit there and make excuses for his ineptitude, uh, as if like how he's playing right now is considered normal. He'll get, what I'm saying, in front of the camera and talk about, like, we didn't need to study up freaking how to tackle. Like, we know how to tackle. And in the very next game, miss a freaking tackle that almost goes for a freaking touchdown. You just can't make this kind of stuff up. I look at this roster, and I've gotten to the point now that I think this full rebuild is a must. I don't know if anybody disagrees with me. If you think we need to run this back next year with the current group as is, say something in the comments, man. But I got to admit, I think you're crazy if you believe that. I think this is going to be one of those things where here we go. Yeah, here we go. Miguel says, JD being fired is the end of the road for the 2024 season. Aaron Rodgers will likely be gone. The team will swallow a $49 million cap hit. We're going to be irrelevant for a long time. And I agree. I don't think this is one of those things where we can honestly look at this roster and say, we're only freaking this many. I don't know how many picks away we are. I don't know. Everything I thought I knew about football, all of the books that I spent money on, and I've read, the tape that I've watched, trying to better understand and analyze this sport. I played it, I'm saying, at the high school level. So I just feel like I know nothing about NFL football. I don't understand how the Kansas City Chiefs are 8-2 or 8-1, 9-1, whatever they are. You know what I'm saying? 9-1, 8-1, whatever it is. And offensively, they've been, I think, the 16th best offense in the NFL, right? But like, they're freaking dominating. I don't understand how the Buffalo Bills have somehow gotten better They've gotten better by getting rid of key playmakers on offense and on defense. Yeah, I get it. Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But he's still just one man and a bunch of guys. And somehow, some way, he's elevated these dudes to where they're beating up on, they're beating the Baltimore Ravens, who I believe is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I don't know. I don't know ball like I thought I knew ball. It's just that whenever they say like, "Oh, you don't know ball," now I'd be like, maybe you're right. Maybe I don't know ball because I don't understand how this team got worse. Except to just say like it's true, man. Like coaching really does matter in this sense, right? When you build a loser, when you've created a loser culture, when you've created a bunch of guys who make excuses for their performance rather than trying to go ahead and express how they're going to get better, this is the output because they don't care. They don't care, right? I think guys like freaking Ahmad Gardner started to really believe his own hype, right? The first couple of years, first team all pro, awesome stuff. Hey, I bought into the hype. As you can see over here, I bought into the hype as well. The majority of the NFL has. But you're seeing him now, and you've heard of stuff like the sophomore slump. This isn't that. This isn't the sophomore slump. Like this is just it's like he forgot how to play football, right? Or in the words of freaking proud New York Jets fan, my boy Nick, he had a tweet that was an elite tweet, like I think a couple weeks back. It's almost as if like if he can't freaking keep his hands on you, like he's at a Diddy party, he doesn't know how to play freaking corner in the NFL. Like it's like mentally he's checked out. I again look at this roster where we all thought last season, we were just one piece away. We needed the quarterback. Then we went and added multiple pieces that I really thought, made this team better. And then we've only gotten worse. And now we're going to have to start over from scratch, right? And yeah, this A-Rod thing's going to suck because I do think that he's again, I think he's cooked. I think he's washed. I don't think he's got it anymore. I think that's obviously apparent. But I'm more worried about the fact that like he's wanting to come back next year. And I don't know if Woody Johnson has the guts to tell that dude, bro, you're done. You need to retire. You should have just retired out of freaking Green Bay. Now there's this stain on your legacy because you thought you still had it and you clearly didn't. And you played football like you were a beginner that just didn't have any confidence on the field. And you're supposed to be the dude that exuberates confidence. I think Aaron Rodgers, for the sake of his legacy, I think right now has to retire. But again, this is one of those seasons where I think the pain of it all, it's not just because of what we're witnessing, right? We've seen the Jets play bad football. Like we've all semi-grown accustomed to this team being trash, right? This is what they've done to us. We're about to add another year to the longest freaking playoff drought in all of sports. That's happening. It's the fact that there was expectations that matched the talent level of this roster. And it wasn't just us. You had fans of the Dolphins saying it, fans of the Bills saying it. Like when you've got your rivals talking about like, damn man, that team is stacked, like that team is going to be a problem, and it's not just us. Then you've got the analysts also talking about like, I'm predicting for them to win the AFC. They're going to have a first, like these kind of things compounded. So not only as Jets fans do we blindly, love our team and are going to always look at the bright side because we're fans, we're fanatics, right? We zealously look at this roster, look at this team, and we root for them. We want to see them succeed. It got like reaffirmed to us that we weren't blind or in the wrong because everyone around us was saying the same thing. So I think that's why this hurts so much. I think that's why this hurts so much because it wasn't just Jets fans who believed in the New York Jets. It was 90% of football fans who believed in the New York Jets. And because of that, it made us as Jets fans feel even more validated. Like, hell yeah, we're not crazy. This is going to be the year we figure it out, just to get freaking punched in the mouth. And the Jets are like, haha, no, sit your ass down. We're worse than the same old Jets. We're going to break your heart in ways you didn't imagine possible. I think that's why this is definitely the worst experience I've had as a Jets fan, because the expectations matched the talent level, and it wasn't just us. It was literally universal, right? The majority believe the New York Jets were going to be a team to be reckoned with. And instead, in the words of Stack, they were just paper champs, or even better yet, paper chumps. This team it's mind-boggling to me how soft they've looked. I don't know if it's a lack of heart. I don't know if the firing of Salah really impacted these guys this much, because for the life of me, I just feel like after the Salah hiring or firing, this was a team in complete like desolation. Like it was just a shell of what it was, and it wasn't like it was great to start off, but at least like you saw, aspects of where they had heart. It was just gone. I think the Salah firing actually did more damage than the good we were hoping it was going to do. Right? The Jets were what 2-3 before the firing of Salah. We're 1-5 since. Since the firing of Salah, we're 1-5, and dare I say, we've had significantly easier teams to go up against, and we're 1-5. It's it can't be that these professionals are this heartbroken that Salah got fired, that they just decided to stop playing football. Did they forget how to play football? I don't know. There's no word to express just how bad this team has been. Because I don't the math ain't mathin', as they say, right? Like if you had told me that through 11 games of the season, the New York Jets were going to have Aaron Rodgers, a healthy Tyron Smith, Hassan Reddick playing, Devontae Adams as the wide receiver on the Jets, Brees Hall with a 5.0, like 5 yards per carry average. Freaking Garrett Wilson with the second most receptions in the NFL, and at the time he was tied for receptions before this week, TD receptions before this week. Like, and you told me that, and you guys are going to be freaking 3-8, the bottom of the division. I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed, and I would have asked you, do you want to bet? I would have said, do you want to bet? I would have bet my house. I would have bet my paychecks. I would have lost it all, because I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have believed you, and I would have thought you were crazy if you gave me that scenario and you told me that our record would be 3-8, bottom of the division. You're out of your freaking mind. There's just no freaking way. And yet, here we are, 11 weeks in. We're going into our bye week. Thank God we get to go ahead and stop watching bad football for at least a week. But we'll all be watching again next week when they come out there to embarrass us some more. 3-8. I would have called you a liar. I would have told you didn't know ball, right? Laughed in your face. Then I would have made you put money on it, and I would have lost. I would have freaking lost. Nick, it ain't. What do you mean blame you, bro? It's on all of us, dog. It's on me. It's on you. Content creators, sports analysts, for everybody, man. We all thought this team was going to be something respectable. I don't know if there's somebody who can honestly sit there that's just not trolling us or being a hater that can say they saw this New York Jets team coming into the season, and this is before you heard the nonsense about Hassan Reddick freaking, not playing or whatever, but you saw this team and you thought to yourself, yeah, these guys suck. They're gonna be bums. They're not gonna be good. No, there's no way. Like nobody saw this team being so doo-doo. Nobody. And I think that's what's it's mind-boggling to me that this is our truth. This is the Jets, man. And I think the most frustrating part about this whole thing is that it's 11 games in, so there's still more to go, right? And I know we're starting to talk about next season, right? I see the mock drafts already coming out. I see individuals already talking about general managers, head coaches. Woody earlier today let out a statement talking about that they were going to be vigorously searching for the next freaking general manager. But I asked the question then is, do we think like there'd be somebody who'd want to come, a respectable individual who'd want to come here and run this organization after seeing what just came of it? Like, if you're a general manager and you're looking at this team and you're looking at what Joe Douglas did, and you're like, damn, Joe Douglas brought in freaking Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Hassan Reddick. The offensive line was not bad as the top 15 offensive line. And they still couldn't win games. Like, what would you think? Like, do you look at this team and think it's fixable? I don't know. I just don't know. Now, my ideal situation, like my ideal preference, right, would be something that I saw earlier today, and it kind of made a lot of sense. In terms of bringing in somebody into the organization that's not only respected but is beloved by the fan base, by the Jets organization, and throughout all of football. Right? Somebody's tweeted out earlier, Curtis Martin coming in as the Jets, you know what I'm saying, president of football operations. He would come in essence, have the ability to go ahead and do his due diligence to pick a general manager and to pick a head coach, or to pick the general manager to pick the head coach. But like somebody who has that breadth of football experience. He knows football. He knows football players. He's been trying to go ahead and get into the ownership box for the NFL. Somebody again, who's beloved by Jets fans, but he's respected in the in NFL boardrooms and meeting rooms. Like, this is a guy who I think could bring value as a president of operations. And then, of course, he would wind up having a chance to pick his own general manager. Now, when it comes to the general manager, like I do have a preference, right? So a lot of people will look at me and think that this is probably going to be kind of ridiculous. But for me, I look at a guy like Ray Agnew, right? The Lions assistant general manager. Now, hear me out. Before y'all come for me, just hear me out. So Ray Agnew is the assistant general manager for the Lions. The Lions, if you ask me, would be the equivalent of the New York Jets, but of the NFC, right? A team that's been run through the mud, consistent loser, right? They haven't really achieved anything in recent history. They were the butt of jokes. They were an organization, you know what I'm saying, before they got Dan Campbell over there, that was in essence a laughingstock. So they've had to go through the process of the rebuild. They've had to go through the process of creating a culture, getting the right head coach in there, getting the right coordinators in there, getting the right talent in there. You see their roster, man, and it's a team. It's not just a collection of individuals who are playing football. It's not a collection of football players that are talented. It's a team. They have created a cohesive team over there. Those boys play for each other, man. Even when a guy like freaking Jared Goff has a bad game, it doesn't matter. The running game will pick him up. The defense will pick him up. They play complementary football consistently. They're passionate and they're prideful. They care. I think the culture that's been created right now for the Detroit Lions is something I'm extremely envious of as a Jets fan, because, again, this was an organization that was the laughingstock for quite some time. They were being laughed at. And to be honest, they're now a powerhouse. They're a team to be respected. They're a team that I think to be feared, right? I think that they have the ability and the chance to potentially go to the Super Bowl. Like, if I had to make my pick today, I have the Lions and Chiefs at the Super Bowl. If I had to make my pick today, gun to my head, I'm picking those two to make the Super Bowl. And that's something that that's a reality they've created for themselves in the last few years. So then hear me out. So you bring in Ray Agnew, right? He's your general manager. Again, a guy that understands the importance of building the culture, was a key component of building that for the Lions organization. And then I would bring in Ben Johnson. Now, I know a lot of individuals are going to say, no coordinators. We're not doing this again, the hot shot coordinator. But listen, we have not done this before. We have not done the hot shot offensive coordinator thing. We've done the hot shot defensive coordinator thing. And you know what? It's worked. You saw Coach Saleh really turn the Jets defense around into being an elite defense. And I'm really starting to realize now that Ulbrich had nothing to do with the defense being elite, that it had to be Saleh, because those dudes look lost since Saleh left the building. I'm convinced that Saleh was very much the individual calling the defense, run the defense, and Ulbrich got to hold Ulbrich is pretty much the defensive coordinator version of Nathaniel Hackett when he was in the Green Bay Packers. That's what I've come down to realize. So I want to do the hot shot offensive coordinator. That's what I want to do. I want the hot shot offensive coordinator to be the head coach, because this is the NFL, man. Like, it's the 2024 NFL. It's all about offense. It's all about scoring points, and the Lions score points. They score points, and it's in the most creative fashion. Everybody gets a chance to touch the rock. I think we do got some intriguing pieces in the building that might intrigue a guy like Ben Johnson to come over here I know I talked about how the organization seems to be, what I'm saying, a schmuck of an organization, but you bring in a guy like freaking Agnew in the building to be his general manager. You bring in Ben Johnson. They've already got that cohesive relationship. They know each other. They know what it looks like to rebuild a trash franchise into a contender. And we give those boys 5-year contracts, man, and let them go cook. Let them boys cook. I think you bring in a guy like Ben Johnson, you're going to start seeing some creative 21st century freaking offense, something we haven't seen in a very long time as a Jets organization. I'd like to see some offensive put up freaking 25, 30, 50 freaking points in the game. The Lions seem to do that consistently. So for me, you bring in those two individuals, boom, you've got core components of what your team can look like. Now, mind you, the Jets offensive line, I do believe Olu Fashanu is going to be a good left tackle. This is a guy who's a professional. He's a tactician. He cares about this sport and he cares about his legacy. So I think that left tackle, you're solid, right? At center, let's be honest, man. Tippmann has been a stud. He's been doing his job well. We all had those concerns in the beginning of the season with the freaking snaps and like we're freaking out thinking like, oh my God, this kid's going to be a problem. No, he's been doing his job and doing his job well during the season. I think he's right now rated out as the number 5 center in football. You like that. You love to see it. Now, John Simpson, love him on the left side. Left guard, John Simpson. He's been a stud as well. Like the dude has been a mauler. Everything we were expecting. That dude's playing football at a high level. You keep him. Now, the question mark goes to a guy like AVT, right? Your right guard. So AVT, I think right now, I'm worried about giving that dude a long-term contract because he hasn't played a full season for the Jets yet. He just hasn't. But he's a talented right guard. The dude is very, very talented. I think you can go ahead and get him for the cheap. You kind of keep the continuity there for the majority of your line. You focus on bringing in a right tackle. I think Morgan Moses is pretty much approaching that expiration date. You're bringing in a right tackle. I'm telling you this, man. I think Tyrod Taylor or Jordan Travis, you bring in somebody, you know what I'm saying, a late pick or a young free agent or whatever, right? This coming season, you don't draft quarterback this year. I don't look at these quarterbacks and think to myself, yep, that dude is going to lead the way. I just don't see it. But that's me. Remember, I don't know ball, though, because I thought the Jets had this thing figured out. So if people that know ball think that we should go that route, I'm going to listen because I thought I knew what I was talking about. I'm a little bit concerned about my thought process when it comes to knowing football now. But I think Tyrod Taylor or Jordan Travis, we get to go ahead and see exactly what, you know what I'm saying, like he's capable of. If y'all haven't been watching, man, FSU is in shambles. Like it's in shambles. It's like they didn't make the playoffs obviously last year, right? When he got hurt, which showed just the kind of impact that college football believed he brought to the table when it came to that team. The team this year is in complete disarray. I'm curious to see what he brings to the table. This is a guy that at every level has elevated his game to arrive at the moment, right? So he's always had to work for it. He's been a hard worker his whole life. The dude's never been handed anything. You love his freaking IQ. You love his leadership ability. Now I know his arm is limited, right? I know his arm is limited. But we're seeing other quarterbacks in the NFL with limited arms still make plays and still see success. So I'm not opposed to a trial run next year, right? To go ahead and have Tyrod Taylor be the freaking guy. You have Jordan Travis, and then you bring another quarterback for a little competition. I think you're going to have to extend guys like Garrett Wilson. I think at this point you might have to extend Brees Hall as well. For me, Ahmad is the individual that I would use as a bargaining piece. I think those two All-Pro seasons are going to entice some general manager to take a chance and gamble on that dude. And I'd be all about letting him go for a couple of firsts included in the package. I don't know if you can pay a guy that can't tackle, that can't really impact games in terms of turnovers or anything like that. I mean, yeah, he's a good coverage cornerback when he's good, but when he's bad, right? So and you're starting to see the bad of Ahmad Gardner. So I think if you can leverage his two first team All Pros is young and it's a rookie contract, and you can get 2 first rounders for a guy like Ahmad, you do it, and then you go ahead and go back into the freaking cupboard and find yourself the replacements. I actually think you keep a guy like DJ Reed I know a lot of individuals are like, oh, wow, he's 27 years old, DJ. But DJ Reed, he tackles, right? Like he's freaking, he's a hard hitter. I think he's the number 5th ranked cornerback in football this season already. So he's a guy that's always had to elevate himself, improve himself consistently. And I think that I bet on a dude like that more so than a kid who thinks like his shit don't stink and that he's arrived and that, coaching is not necessary. He knows what he's doing, right? Like, I just feel like at some point you got to go ahead and cut bait because I do believe that the concept of accountability is significantly needed in this locker room. And my hope is that you bring in a guy like Ray Agnew and Ben Johnson that's going to incorporate that. So if that means you got to let go of some of your stars, right, to go ahead and make sure you're bringing in the right caliber kind of individual, so be it. So be it. Now, I think that you eat the $49 million freaking hit for next season. And if you do that, then I think the year after you're going to look at about $80 million, if not more, in cap space. And let's just say the Jordan Travis experiment fails, right? Tyrod Taylor is not the dude, and we wind up with a top 10 pick in 2026. Okay, if you got to mortgage that and trade up, I'm gonna die on this hill and call me crazy. I want Archie Manning. I want Archie Manning as my quarterback, and you can sit there and tell me like, oh, he hasn't shown you enough. Listen, you know where the kid comes from. He comes from incredible stock, right? The DNA speaks for itself. He's been groomed to be an NFL quarterback since he was yay high, right? He's got the athletic ability of his father and the IQ of his uncle and a stronger arm than both, right? Like Archie Manning to me is a prototypical quarterback you kind of want to go ahead and build around. Now, whether he can put it all together when it comes to NFL speeds and whatnot remains to be seen. We got to go ahead and see him, of course, take the field as the unquestioned starter once Edwards gets out of there next year. But if you're telling me I have the ability to go ahead and see if we have a guy in Jordan Travis, this season, or if we, bring in a young guy that's going to get cut next year and you bring him into the – like, if that fails – then it fails. You go into 2026 with a top pick. You got your coach, you got your GM. We're going to go ahead and add to the offensive line, hopefully add to the defensive line, right? I think we're going to need to go edge again, right? Hopefully JJ comes back pretty healthy, but you got to go edge again. You're going to need I see it right there. Somebody put run stuff, or I want a freaking another elite defensive tackle. Quinnen Williams has been a little inconsistent this year. So you need to bring in another guy. So I feel like you build around him. And don't forget, you've got wide receivers in Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley. Devontae Adams did say he wanted to go ahead and play again, but I doubt he's going to want to be a Jet once his boy Aaron Rodgers gets cut. So you might have to make a move again in terms of a wide receiver in the draft, or you bring in one of these guys coming out as free agents next year. A guy like T. Higgins starts looking really, really good. But there's still ways to go ahead and create something we could enjoy watching next year as we're evaluating this team and trying to figure out direction. But I think it all starts with getting the top tier right? Like I think all that sounds great, but if we don't get a competent general manager, if we don't get a legitimate like head coach, if we don't get that right, it's not going to matter. I've got to the point now where I realize that in the NFL, you're going to need a top 5 quarterback if you're talking about Super Bowls. You're going to need one. You got to have one on your roster if you're going to legitimately talk about Super Bowls. Now, if you don't have the top 5 guy, I think you can have a top 10 quarterback, but you got to get the coach right, and you got to have a defense to help him, right? So the coach has to be right, and the defense needs to help him in order for that guy to win you a Super Bowl. If you don't got a top 10 quarterback in this NFL, man, I don't think you really have a chance. I don't think you have a chance in regards to winning meaningful games. I don't think you're going to be seeing the Super Bowl, unless everything aligns perfectly for you, which oftentimes does not when it comes to the game of football. You need a top 10 guy at that position for you to go ahead and truly be relevant. And if you don't have him, then you're really not in it. Like you could have the coach, you could have the defense, but if you don't have the freaking top 10 quarterback, it really doesn't matter. So for me, if it means now we got to go ahead and take more L's, we should be accustomed to that. We've been taking L's for the last 14 years. So what's 2 more? If it means getting it right for the next 10, I've gotten to the point now where the GM has to matter, the head coach has to matter, the quarterback has to matter. It sucks because I feel like when you talk like that, you're wasting the prime years of a guy like a Garrett Wilson. You're wasting the prime years of a guy like Breece Hall. But this is where we're at. I mean, if we're being honest, this is where we're at. The New York Jets organization is not a good one. They're not good. Um, we've we've spent so much time waiting to get to this season just to get here and realize coaching is extremely important. Defense is important, and losing both of those components and in a lackadaisical freaking top 20 quarterback, I think somebody said 24th ranked quarterback in the NFL, is just not going to get it done. Aaron Rodgers is done, man. One of the greatest throws of the football we've ever seen. Like, he's going to go down as one of the most elite quarterbacks of all time. That can't be taken away from him. But the New York Jets experience or experiment, definitively a failure. There's no way to look at it, definitively a failure. Now, there's a chance that Aaron Rodgers is going to leave next year and he's going to go play for another team, potentially in the NFC or something like that, and take that team to the playoffs or whatever, right? Like, that's just how the story happens to work when it comes to us New York Jets fans. But I don't think we should be risking that for our future. I think we've seen enough. I think we know what bad football looks like, and we know that if this team couldn't overcome Aaron Rodgers dropping off of a cliff or the defense dropping, like, it's not going to change next year to run this back. I don't believe we have the people in the building. We don't have the winners. The coaches aren't winning coaches. We don't have them. And the lack of accountability is rampant in this organization. There's guys right now that we're going to probably have to get rid of because they're just not going to be a component of what a winning future looks like. I don't want to be in purgatory anymore, man. I think we've experienced purgatory enough for the last freaking 14 years. We've been the butt of jokes within our own division, within the NFL. It's getting to the point now where it's getting hard for us as a fan base to even talk shit. It's getting hard for us because it's just too easy to go ahead and shut us up now because our team has given our haters, the trolls, our rivals, all of the freaking material that they need in order to go ahead and shut us up. I can't even go into work anymore and talk crap. Now, granted, I can still talk crap because, hey, Jets suck. Well, y'all couldn't beat the Jets. We at least beat you guys. Thank you, Jets, for giving me that. But after that, man, like, that's all I got. Now, we want to be bad, but you guys couldn't beat us. Like, that's the best I can do because that's all they've given us. Vero says, I really think we never got an upgrade on the offensive play calling staff. It really seems communication between play calling and Rodgers huddle is a mess. The players barely get called in time. But the thing is this, though, I also think a lot of that is due to Rodgers, right? I saw an elite tweet earlier today. I think it was from the Buffalo Jets fan. And he pretty much broke down how, like, you gave Aaron Rodgers everything he wanted plus some, right? Like the autonomy in terms of who's going to be his offensive coordinator. We all know Nathaniel Hackett wasn't good, but we all forced ourselves to believe that maybe he was because Rodgers liked him. And of course, Rodgers had 2 MVP seasons, you know what I'm saying, operating the offense that they were bringing to the table. But it becomes abundantly clear the offense, you could give somebody the cookbook. You can give somebody the recipe or somebody the cookbook, but the chef who wrote the recipe down is going to always be better at preparing that meal than anybody who could follow his instructions or her instructions. That's just how it goes. And LaFleur gave enough for Nathaniel Hackett to think he had a cookbook. And we've seen the lack of execution consistently. The gold zone he was talking about, that it's just absolute joke of a freaking play caller. The entire coaching staff is just, it's bad. It's bad. Another hit on Joe D. Just a bad coaching staff. But we gave Aaron Rodgers what he wanted. We tried the experiment. We thought ourselves, listen, man, you're elite. You're him. You're that dude. You want your people, we'll bring you your people. We got him Devontae Adams. We got him an improved offensive line. We got him his offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers is just no longer capable of playing football at a high level. And that's okay. Father Time is undefeated. And it was just a matter of time. And at this point, the experiment is over, and I think it's time for us to move forward. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about Deion Sanders as head coach, Miguel, so thanks for bringing that up. I'm a pass. I'm a pass, man. I love Deion. It's been fun watching him do his thing, you know what I'm saying, with Colorado. I think he's going to go wherever his son goes. I think Dallas has pretty much got their eye on them as a unit. Thank goodness. I just think the clown show that could turn into, if it goes bad quickly, would blow up out of proportion. I feel like the Deion Sanders experiment would have a very, very limited leash. And the guy loves the camera, man. Loves the camera. And his son loves the camera too. And I feel like for the New York media, for us as a fan, like y'all see how Ahmad Gardner is freaking engaging and interacting with fans on Twitter because his feelings are getting hurt. Could you imagine Deion Sanders clapping back at some of us in the fan base? Because I can definitively see him clapping back at the fan base because we're going to speak with them. Like, we'll love you when you get here. We're going to give you a short leash, but we're tired of losing. And if you don't start showing like results fast, we're going to have jokes. And I think he's going to clap back. Now, I don't care. I welcome it. I think it's funny, right? But it also makes you question whether or not they're focused on the right thing. We're witnessing that Ahmad is too focused on, social media and Twitch and all that stuff that is affecting his game on the field. I don't need my head coach doing that, right? And I think Shador is the same way. I just I just look at those two individuals, and I do believe that they're going wherever one goes, the other is going with them. And as fun as it's been watching Deion Sanders, man, in Colorado, I feel like we've been a clown show of an organization long enough. I want to be taken seriously, and I just don't think Deion and Shador are going to allow us to become taken seriously. We don't have the what's the word? We don't have the leeway or the leverage to go ahead and take that gamble, and it just get bad for us. So for me, I'm definitely not on Team Deion. Again, I really love Ben Johnson, man. I really do. I know a lot of individuals. Good night, girls. I know a lot of individuals look at me and they think I'm crazy for wanting to do the another coordinator thing, but yo, like Infrared says, they score at will. Like every time they touch the football, I think everyone believes like, yo, these guys are going to score. Like you look at it and you think like they're going to score, they're going to put up points, like because that offense is just so creative and it maximizes what they have, and they just put up points, man. Them boys put up points. I would love to expect, like, could you imagine the Jets putting up points? You know what I'm saying? Having competitive games, and okay, yeah, we lose some, right? But they're competitive games, so they're fun for us to watch. Vice going into a game and hoping like our offense shows up today, maybe our defense shows up today, and then like throughout the entire game, you just never know. Like I'm sick and tired of watching the game and just not knowing like what version of my team am I going to see the next play. Every play, I'm wondering like, crap, which version of the Jets we're going to get right now in this next play. So I want Ben Johnson. I want him bad. I'm sorry for those who disagree, who think that, oh, the coordinator thing, let's get Mike Vrabel in here. We've done the defensive head coach thing for so long now. It's played out. It hasn't worked for us. Let's try something different. That's all I'm saying. Let's just try something different. And the exciting freaking hotshot coordinator who's built for today's NFL, I think goes a long way to trying to gain some credibility, kind of like reinvigorate maybe this offense a little bit, because you're seeing guys like Garrett Wilson, and I'm starting to feel bad for Garrett Wilson. So I just feel like, bro, you give it everything you've got. Do you see how many times he was open against the freaking Colts and Aaron Rodgers blindly or would look right at him and just wouldn't? I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is seeing anymore when he's out there, but Garrett Wilson got open at will, right? Like, and it was clear. So I want our offensive guys to be excited about what could potentially be. But like us, they were blindly excited about the concept of having Aaron Rodgers, and obviously that failed us miserably. So for me, it's Ben Johnson. I want Ben Johnson. I would give him a blank check if that's what we had to do to get him into the building. I know I can say that because it's not my money, but Woody, you're pissing a lot of us off. You're going to start seeing your bank account get hit because we're not going to be spending more money as Jets fans. I don't think you want that. We've made the organization the seventh most valuable freaking organization in all the NFL. I think it's time you start paying us back a little bit. Like the only reason why the Jets are that valued that high is because of us, because we're spending a buttload of freaking money on this organization who hasn't done shit for us. So we'd like to see a return on our investment at some point. So if that means you got to give a blank check to Ben Johnson to go ahead and get him in the building, so be it. Blank check to freaking Ray Agnew, so be it. Like, I think you need to do something ridiculous to get guys with that kind of a high ceiling into the building so we can go ahead and potentially impact change. I don't want to do the freaking, hey, we'll get a defensive minded coach in there who's going to go ahead and defense and we're going to ground and pound it. That's not today's NFL. That's not today's NFL. And a guy like a Dan Campbell, who I think figured it out and understood he had to evolve because he was a defensive player, right? I think that helped. I don't know if a guy like Vrabel, who's kind of set in his ways, is going to. And I don't know, man. I'm just very, very nervous about anybody from the freaking the Belichick tree. I see I got my boy I ain't talked to him in a minute, man. Okay, all right. We got another creator back with us here. Let me go ahead and bring him up real quick. My boy Connor, man. Connor, how you been, man? It's been forever since I've spoken to you, man.
Yeah, Gunny, how you doing? Appreciate you having me on. Yeah, it's been a really, really long time. I think last we spoke, we did like a post-game show for the Jets-Panthers preseason game.
Yeah,
I think it's the last we spoke, but yeah, we gotta reconnect soon.
You blew up, man. Started doing your thing. You're writing articles and everything like that. And I understood. You know what I'm saying? You got busy, but glad you can go ahead and jump on, man. Listen, how you feeling, man? Like, I know you didn't see this coming. I know you didn't. We talked a lot before the season kicked off, man. 2024 season, New York Jets, man. How you feeling? What do you think about these guys?
Yeah, I mean, a very disappointing start, to say the very least. A 3-8 start. I know, we were texting all offseason about how exciting this team was going to be, how fun, with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, all this, all that. And it's a very interesting decision that they go ahead and fire Douglas. I guess it helps them get ahead, talk to more executives. They can now ask around the league for interviews. But, I mean, the things that you blame Douglas for, obviously the offensive line depth and the Zach Wilson pick. Those are the two things I point to when I'm like, okay, that's on Joe Douglas. The rest of it, other than possibly, last year no backup plan with Zach Wilson, but he's done everything he can to make this team a contender. Really, he's done everything he can. He went out, he made these veteran signings in free agency. Gunny, I don't know if you saw. Did you see the another, for the second year in a row now, the bombshell report that The Athletic just released about a half hour ago?
No, I have not seen it. What did I miss?
Yeah, so there's a lot in here. So I'll read you some of the keynotes. Devontae trade was all Woody. No other team was willing to give up more than a day 3 pick. Woody Johnson called for the benching of Tony Adams. Aaron Rodgers is unlikely to return even if he wanted to. Woody does not want him back. And then, Woody called for the benching of Aaron Rodgers after the Broncos game, but the coaching staff wasn't having it. He didn't let Douglas replace any of the executives who left in the so Chad Alexander and Rex Hogan didn't let him replace them. So he called for the benching of those guys, and also saying Mike Williams, Tyron Smith, his son Reddick were all on Woody's part, and apparently Rosenblatt and Rossini noted that some of that was persuaded from social media for Woody to sign those guys. So that's the bombshell. For
You've got to be kidding me, man. I mean, like, we all had an inkling that maybe that was happening, because when Joe Douglas went eerily quiet, it was odd.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to be confirmed now via reporting, oh my gosh, man! And this is Jody. This is Jody was like, oh, I'm fired, cool, bet. And he's just been like, this is what's been going on. This is why this organization is freaking a mess. I was on board with having the chop ahead. I was very on board with it early on with how we were seeing the team start off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never thought the solid one was the head you wanted to chop off. I really thought Hackett was going to be the one, or should have been the one, at least the demotion aspect.
Yep.
And when you heard that, he was getting fired and that Joe D wasn't aware of it until 15 minutes prior to, I knew then, like, man, all right.
Yep.
I get the need for shooting a hostage, right? Figuratively speaking, you had to go ahead and shoot a hostage to show everybody you meant business, get serious. I didn't like how he went about it. I didn't like how you circumvent, your general manager after you just talked about how he put together one of the best rosters you've ever freaking, like, it didn't make a lot of sense. But hearing all this now to kind of see how Joe Douglas went ghost, like we couldn't hear from him or he wouldn't talk, it adds up. I believe this is true. And of course, Joe D gets fired and this report comes out. That obviously means freaking Joe D or whoever he was holding back from talking finally was able to go ahead and speak on it. It's
Yeah.
another Woody Johnson type of season. Okay.
Yeah, it's insane, and I have a GM article coming out tomorrow for X Factor. I've spent a ton of time on it today. I think I have 20 GMs in there. I think it's over 3,500 words. It should be coming out
Oh
sometime
wow.
tomorrow on all the GM candidates. Someone I'm really leaning towards. I know Ray Agnew's the talk of the
I
town
love
from
him.
the Lions side of things. I really like him too. But my guy also comes from the Lions front office, and that's John Dorsey, their
That's true.
senior director of player personnel.
Yeah.
56 and 55 as a GM in his career. Not an assistant GM, not a director
Yeah.
of scouting, player personnel. 56 and 55 in a GM as a GM in his career. Spent time with the Chiefs. He drafted Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill, and Eric Fisher. He also drafted Denzel Ward and Baker Mayfield for the Browns. So I'm a
Hold on.
huge fan of him, and that's
Those are all on Dorsey's resume?
all on Dorsey's resume, and that's why I'm a huge fan of him.
And he's doing what with the Lions right now?
Senior director of player personnel.
Why?
It's insane. It's insane. And I pulled this directly from his Lions player profile on their website, and I went on Wikipedia, all these different sites, Pro Football Reference, and he's credited with all those picks. So you can get someone like that who is great. He has experience for constructing a roster. You look at what the Lions have done, and then also a great talent evaluator: Mahomes, Kelce, Eric Fisher, Chris Jones, Tyreek, Denzel Ward, all those guys. He's great. I like Brandon Brown with the Giants. I think he's getting overlooked a bit. He's their assistant GM just because the Giants haven't had great success over the past few years. He's a great option. I like Catherine Hickman. She's only 35 years old, actually. She's with the Browns as their assistant general manager. She almost got hired as the Vikings GM a few years ago, but she didn't end up getting that job. So right now, Dorsey's my number one. Hickman's up there. I also Ed Dodds. He's the Colts assistant GM, like him. Jason Borgonzi's another one, assistant GM for the Chiefs. But ideally, if you can get, I think Agnew right now is probably the most realistic, just because his son, I don't know if you know this, Gunny, his son is a scout with the Jets. He's been there 8 seasons now. So he's the leader of
No, Connor, I didn't know that. Look at you connecting the dots. Okay.
Yeah, actually, that was an Allen nugget there, and I went back on the Jets site and found it the other day. So yeah, his son is the director of college scouting for the Jets. He's one of their pro scouts. He's in his 8th season with the team, so that could be interesting. Agnew was also a top 10 pick, which I find really cool. He was a top 10 pick in his draft. His defensive lineman played the interior and exterior line, so he's interesting. Ideally, I want Dorsey.
I think I want Dorsey now. I was not familiar with
Dorsey. Not a lot of people knew Dorsey, because I feel like if Agnew wasn't there, Dorsey would be the talk of the town. It's just because Agnew, he's the assistant GM. Yeah. He's getting all the praise. But Dorsey is a senior director of play. I want someone, Gunny, not only for that head coach position, but the GM who has experience in the actual role.
Yes.
I'm tired of taking flyers on these guys that have no experience. Like Ben Johnson, he's a great offensive guru. We saw it firsthand with Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich was, a great defensive coordinator, but now it goes to show you fire Saleh. Saleh was a lot of the defense. Dan Campbell, he played offense in the league. He's an offensive-minded guy. You don't know how much he's contributing.
Wait, was Dan Campbell offense? I thought he was a linebacker. Was he a tight end?
He was a tight end. Yeah, he's a tight end. Let me check that. He played for the Saints.
In my head, I have Dan Campbell as a freaking linebacker.
I remember from Hard Knocks. Let's see. Position.
To answer your question, Dano, no, there will be no Gardner patches for this freaking. In fact, this might be coming off the wall and getting replaced with another jersey here relatively soon. Ahmad has really pissed me off this year.
Oh my God, yeah.
Falling off of a cliff.
Yeah. My thing with Sauce is, well, yes, Dan Campbell did play tight end. He actually played for the Lions. I thought he played for the Saints.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, but I was what you said there about Sauce. We've never seen a cornerback in this league ranging, even back to the Revis days. Revis gained his respect over time in the league. It took him 5-6 years before quarterbacks wouldn't even look his way.
Yep.
Now, you look and see someone like Sauce, first 2 seasons in the league, he's a 2-time All-Pro. He was getting all the PI calls. They were all going his way. And And the quarterbacks should stop throwing his way. Last year, he saw no action, so it's like, all right, he's doing his job. He's locking these guys down. Now quarterbacks are like, you know what? We haven't seen enough from this guy on tape when the ball comes his way. We're just going to start peppering his guy with balls, and he's been getting exploited. I mean, something that I didn't really pay much attention to until this season, because, again, two-time All-Pro the past 2 years, is he's very underweight. I've noticed, I mean, he's just been getting bullied by these wide receivers. I can't tell if it's because, there have been several reps where he's been lazy on these, run blocking plays. He's been lazy in pass coverage, but he's so underweight. I mean, he's just getting bullied around. Garrett Wilson's another one. I mean, he's improved at least, but he's very, very underweight. I mean, I remember in the Steelers game, he was just getting literally pushed around everywhere he went. He held on the ball 2 weeks ago, I think it was, but in the Texans game, he was like at the first down. The guy literally just like lightly shoved him, and he fell back like 15 yards. Yep. He still got the first down, but he got shoved back like 15 yards. I'm like, oh my god. So Sauce needs to put on weight, but I don't know what it is. I don't want to extend him. He's going to ask for $28-30 million a year, and that's Pat Surtain, Jari Alexander money.
And he's not those guys.
No.
He's not those guys. It's crazy because if you had told me before the season, I would have told you straight up, give that man the $25-30 million he was going to ask for. But again, I think as a Jets fan, man, we look at things with blinders on, and we saw a guy who last year, he was one of the top corners because he wasn't targeted much. When he was targeted, he made plays on the ball, not interception or anything like that, but he got those pass breakups. But this year, I think as more quarterbacks looked at him and said, you know what? I don't really think he's that good, and they've been testing him. And you're seeing it, man. You're seeing him get cooked over and over again. He can't cover. This is a guy who we know he wasn't going to be a game changer in terms of getting interceptions. He's not doing that. We know he can't tackle. The one thing we swore about was that he was an elite coverage cornerback. He's getting cooked left and right now. And now I'm starting to see why they've not allowed him to go ahead and shadow freaking number one wide receivers, because I think it would be a lot worse. Before, I wanted to see it, and I thought to myself they were misusing what was an elite weapon. Now I think Salah was just like, I'm gonna let y'all keep believing his elite, but I'm gonna protect him from himself.
Salah and Zach Wilson right now are probably laughing so hard.
Oh yeah. 100%.
The Jets were better with Zach Wilson than they were.
They were.
And that's why I've said now for the past few weeks, throw Tyrod out for a series. It can't be much worse.
It can't be worse.
It can't. So at best, it's an improvement. The Jets coaching staff picks up on it. And, guess what, Rodgers? I'm sorry, you brought your whole crew here. It hasn't worked out for 11 weeks. So you might have to sit back on the bench for a series or two and watch Tyrod Taylor, who, by the way, when Tyrod's healthy, if he was able to sustain health throughout his career, he had the potential to be an upper echelon starter in this
100%.
team. Just his skill set, what he brings to the table, reminds me someone of the Jets just got cooked by Anthony Richardson. Obviously, Tyrod's older. He's 34 years old. But that, the way the Colts ran that run and gun offense with a mobile quarterback was just beautiful. I mean, literally direct snaps right to Richardson and just quarterback power, quarterback blast right up the middle. The Jets just simply couldn't stop it. And who knows, that Joe Flacco probably would have cooked them too, but it was just embarrassing to see them. And Clemens, again, I was talking to the beat reporters. I'm like, well, Clemens, he lost some weight this offseason. I'm like, I don't care. He was playing defensive tackle last year. He still should be playing defensive tackle. He's way too big to be coming off the edge. He has no speed.
Slow,
we saw it on the last play of the Bills game.
Rigid.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got. I don't understand.
He's not fundamentally sound either.
No.
I mean, he's not going to get another NFL opportunity once the Jets finally move on from him, which will probably be about the time he's 40 years old.
I mean, he is up there in age, though, in football years.
He's 28,
you're not wrong. I think he will, only because, what I'm saying, he's still going to be a big body that you can probably have in a rotation. But I don't think he'll ever be getting starter reps anymore. He won't be getting starter reps anymore.
No. He's playing more than Hassan Reddick.
That's ridiculous to me. He had more snaps this past week against the Colts than Hassan Reddick and then Will McDonald. Tell me you don't know what you're doing.
And McDonald has 8.5 sacks this season. Both of which are Reddick. I saw him maybe 2 times on third down. I saw McDonald on third down a lot, but the Jets are creating no pressure, and it's really annoying me. I mean, the one game a few games we've created pressure in, the New England game, the Houston game, and the Titans game. All three the games that we've only 3 games we've created pressure in, and it just so happens that we've won those 3 games. I mean, we could do the hypotheticals all we want. A couple kicks go this way, a couple kicks, go that way. We could do that all. We could do that all we want, but you're only as good as your record is. You're 3-8 right now, entering your bye week. Jets could be the champions of the offseason. You could do whatever. You can make these huge additions. I mean, none of these additions, except John Simpson has been, I think, probably Joe Douglas's best find throughout his tenure. Either Simpson or Reed, probably one of those two. And then you can
on the offensive side of the football, I'll say it's John Simpson.
I mean, he's one of the best guards in football. Yeah, well, I think Reed's the most underrated player from the
100%.
Since the 2000. Yeah,
and this is why I'm on board with you extend Reed and you trade Ahmad. People think I'm crazy for saying that.
No,
right now.
I think the Carter extension really dug them into such a deep hole, which is really annoying me. I mean, this is someone who's had an ankle injury, who's been not necessarily, he's only missed, I think, 2-3 games, but he's been playing 4 snaps a game just because this injury is lingering forever, stalling his play. $370 million is a lot of money. I know the Jets want to go after, those homegrown talents. They saw it firsthand. Oh, by the way, another nugget on the Athletics story. I don't think I said this, but Woody Johnson vetoed all of Joe Douglas's extensions this offseason, including Bryce Huff. He didn't let JD even attempt to extend Bryce Huff this offseason.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh, Joe D's making sure all the tea gets built now.
Yep.
That makes sense. Honestly, that makes sense. So you mean to tell me he was okay with trading for Hassan Reddick because he wanted the big name, vice the homegrown talent of a Bryce Huff?
But then it doesn't make sense because then you signed Michael Carter II to a $3 or $70 million contract who was a 5th-round pick under Douglas. So it just all of it doesn't add up. I don't know. I'm still going to give this. It's we could talk about the headlines all we want. I'm going to give this a few days to really comprehend because a lot of this stuff it's generating clicks, I will say that, but I'm gonna take a few days to really comprehend that because that one for me is hard to believe. I could see the social media stuff. Like I don't necessarily disagree with that with the Mike Williams. Like I could see Woody being like NYG and Matt sending in that breakfast sandwich. Like, oh my God, this would be such a cool story. And we all know how that went with Mike Williams. I mean, that lasted a few weeks, and then he goes into his first game. You see his Instagram post, Gunny, where he
I did
the red line.
Red line.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Laugh sometime, even as a fan of this
I
team.
loved it. I was just like, you know what? I wasn't a fan of Aaron Rodgers calling him out on it because Aaron Rodgers has played like crap. And first chance he got, I was like, man, people have been talking about this. That first chance he gets, he's gonna start blaming other people, and he did that. Mike Williams, I thought handled it like a freaking pro. But the first chance he got though, hashtag red line. I was just like, that was good. That was good.
It was hashtag red line. Yep. Very, very good. I mean, there have been so many Rodgers. I saw a great tweet from Kaz last week entering halftime of the close game. He said, if his name was not Aaron Rodgers, you'd think to bench him.
Oh, 100%.
And that was beautiful. Yeah. If that was Zach Wilson, benched.
Yeah, 100%.
Benched.
He
and Rodgers' stat line, which is annoying me because there are some Jet fans that are just done with this team and haven't watched the past few weeks. But they're still, following a lot. I see it in Jake's chat. I see it in your chat. I see it in Nick's chat. People that are just done watching, they'll come into our YouTube chats, but they don't watch the games anymore.
Yeah.
And they look at the box scores, and some will be like, well, Rodgers had a great day. No, the stat line is not telling you the full story. It's not telling
you at all.
It's not telling you the full story whatsoever. I mean, you have to watch the game, dissect the film to really see his
Rodgers has been bad.
It's honestly sad to watch. It's like watching
it really is.
Just a legend. Put the Jets aside. It's like watching a legend just crash and burn and get killed on every single. Every time he gets hit, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna come up.
Yeah, this is it. This is the one that's gonna end it. Nope, he's standing up again. He's limping. Maybe he should go to the sideline. Nope, he's gonna try to power through it. Yeah, now watching Aaron Rodgers this season, I think it's like you said, it's like watching your heroes freaking, get humanized, right? Like, I looked at this dude as a legend, a hero, and all of a sudden, now I look at him and I'm just like, he's
Brett Favre all over again.
One of us.
Except Favre, at least, was able to hold his own until he got injured.
Yep.
And then he actually had a career after the Jets too. It was only one other team.
But it was still an impressive career. After
again, this is another nugget. I don't know if I said it in my original ones, I think, but Woody doesn't want Rodgers back in 2025, according to this article. Like he said, it said in the article, a source told. It's the unnamed sources thing, which kind of we see those all the time. But He said an unnamed source told The Athletic that even if Rodgers wants to come back in 2025, Woody does not want him back, which is really interesting because I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that.
Honestly, I'm fine with. I had Nick Ferry on my show earlier tonight, and he said he could see the Jets still contending next year if they get a bridge quarterback. And Nick is like the most optimistic Jet guy. He's not even a Jet fan. He's not even a Jet fan. That's the funny. He's an Eagles fan. He's
very optimistic guy.
Very, very, very optimistic about this team. So honestly, what I'm thinking is bring in a rookie quarterback, get a. I was looking at that tankathon. I know the quarterbacks in this draft. I obviously know, the Ashton Genties, the Travis Hunter, but it's November 19th, Gunny. I'm not digging into the nitty gritties of this draft class. So I went on tankathon. Right now they have the Jets at number 7 overall pick, selecting edge rusher Abdul Carter out of Penn State. I have no idea who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
I've
been looking at quarterbacks.
Yeah, no idea. So I've been looking at, Shedeur, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, these guys. They don't have Milroe and Ewers going until the second round. So if that's the case, and Shedeur and Cam Ward are just going to go 2-3 because Hunter's going 1 no matter what.
No, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm probably trading down, honestly, at that point. It's still so early, but I'm trading down. I'm drafting a guy. I'm having Tyrod Taylor start, which unfortunately, the season ticket prices were raised. Jets might not have as many people in the stands this year, but hey, they deserve it. I mean, if they start Tyrod Taylor, screw it. They'll play a game in front of 6,000 people in a stadium.
They've made this bed. They've made this bed. We've made the New York Jets the seventh most valuable NFL franchise in the NFL. And for what? They haven't done anything for us. The fans have put money into this organization to be rewarded with product that we're seeing right now. So if they got to play in front of 6,000 fans next season because we've decided, you know what, we'll just pay for the Sunday ticket and at least be comfortable in our own homes to watch these games.
That's not cheap either, yeah.
It's not cheap, but at least I get to be home and I don't have to fly or deal with traffic to go ahead and watch.
You went to the Pittsburgh game, which was.
I was. It was.
That was tough. So this year I was at the I was at the week 3 game and the home opener, which was fun. I was at the London game, which was heartbreaking, but it was I will say it was a really great stadium, but it was just a weird game. Like the Jets came out like dead in the first half, yet they were only down a touchdown or like 5 points, something crazy like that. So it was just a weird overall game. They obviously didn't end up winning. The Rodgers-Williams offensive miscommunication that Rodgers actually took accountability for, which was quite surprising. But back to my point, I want to start Tyrod. Play in front of 6,000 fans. We should all just plan like a rebellion where nobody goes to the game and there's like 5 people in the stands. That would be hilarious. So you start Tyrod. You have it kind of what the Patriots did at least to start the season by starting Jacoby Brissett. You have the Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, Shedeur, Cam Ward as that QB2. Possibly could step in a QB1, and then you have Jordan Travis as your third string guy. You bring in John Dorsey as the general manager, although after thinking about it, I don't think he would want to take the Jets job because he's probably going to have so many people knocking on his door. When all said and done, I think there's a very, very high chance Rex Ryan's the coach of this team, just based on the overall interest. And he's someone who wants to be the head coach of the Jets, and there are not very many people out there who want to be the head coach of the Jets. I don't want Rex. Realistically, I want Vrabel. But, I mean, he's going to have so many teams knocking on his door. There are so many attractive jobs out there. I like Stefanski. I like Brian Dable from the Giants. If those two are let go. Heck, if the Dolphins, lose out, I know they won again on Sunday, but if they lose out, there's a chance that McDaniel could come available. And if McDaniel's available, I'm pouncing all over him. Because
I want McDaniel. I want McDaniel as my OC, not my head coach.
Really?
So this is
you
where
bring in the right defensive staff, though. Because I will say this: Olbricht's not coming back. We all know that.
No, hell no.
Yeah, he's the head coach. He's the head coach right now,
cooked.
And that's gonna be that's gonna be up to the discretion. That's why I wondered, like, if they had an offensive-minded guy, like they had a John Gruden as the head coach this whole time instead of Saleh, what the defense would look like. Like, would it just be an unmitigated disaster like it has without Saleh? Like, is Saleh like? That's why I just wish I had like a while. I was able to just sit down with Robert Saleh for 10 minutes and just pepper him with a gazillion questions.
Yeah, I don't think Ulbrich. I was saying this earlier in the show. I think Ulbrich is the equivalent of Nathaniel Hackett with Green Bay.
Yeah.
He had the title, but he wasn't actually running the offense. I don't
Bieniemy with
think
the Chiefs. Bieniemy with the Chiefs.
exactly being with the Chiefs because the way this defense has looked since the firing of Saleh, it's night and day. These boys don't look prepared. They don't look. They look like they don't know what they're doing out there. Like it's started a game after freaking Saleh got fired. So yeah, I don't think Ulbrich was the defensive coordinator. I don't think he really knows what he's doing defensively because the defense has only gotten worse each week since he's become the head coach. I know some people will say it's because he's multitasking and whatnot because of the. I don't know. Listen,
So let someone else call play. Let Aaron
exactly
call plays.
So that lets me know he doesn't know how to explain to somebody else like what the defense should look like. So I'll just call the plays, because I don't want to because you can't talk to somebody in regards to what you're looking for. So I feel like, yeah, man, I really feel like this is going to be one of those off seasons where a lot of where we wind up going or the kind of excitement we have for the future is going to be based off of that GM and head coach hiring. I will say this: you've definitively convinced me to switch my GM wish list because Dorsey has now skyrocketed to the top. I'm about to do some research.
I looked at that and I was like, "There's no way this guy's up for like a GM job." I was like, "Yep, there he is." So it's crazy. And I don't know if you mentioned Douglas multitasking. I have to write. After every game, I write the press conference quotes for the post game availability for all the players and Ulbrich on Jets X Factor. And one of the quotes from DJ Reed was normally like other content creators. I don't blame them for not looking at it, especially after a loss. Like you're pissed off, you don't want to see this nonsense. I don't know if you saw this from DJ Reed. I think it was Kaz or Rosenblatt who asked him about thoughts on Ulbrich, having to multitask and do all this stuff while being the head coach, in-game manager, calling plays. And he said, "quote He's a grown man. He should be able to handle it." That's what Reed said on Ulbrich there. So it's insane. Yeah, it's really weird.
So apparently there's some individuals that didn't know about you, Connor. Elon.
Wow.
To answer your question, Elon, yeah, so he's the last guy. Usually I try to get everybody on here before 10. But yeah, he's impressed.
Thank you.
Connor has done this to all of us, not just you. The first time I interacted with this kid, I sat there like, I need to go ahead and get back into the books and make sure I know what I'm talking about when I get on camera with
Alan's an OG. Alan's an OG in my channel. Actually, he's been subbed to me, I think, since I had like 13 subscribers or something crazy like that.
Oh, so he does know you, man. So
Alan's an OG. Oh, okay. I appreciate all the support, Connie. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Of course, man. I love that.
No, I appreciate you, brother. This was unexpected. I'm gonna go ahead and hit you up, man. See if I can get you on the show starting. You know what I'm saying?
Pop on mine sometime. Are you available this week?
Yeah. This Thursday night I'm gonna be busy, obviously, with the Thursday of it, but I'm home Friday and I'm available tomorrow too. Yeah, shoot me a text.
Yeah, awesome.
I appreciate you, brother. And again, thank you for the GM list. I'm gonna be waiting for that article tomorrow, but I'm definitely about to look up more on Dorsey after I get off this live stream, bro.
It's insane.
Have a good night, Connor. I appreciate you.
You too, Gunny. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, yeah. So I don't have Connor stuff pinned in my.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Put your. Do me a favor, Connor. Put your information in the chat, and I'll go ahead and share it real quick so everybody can see it because I don't have it right now. No problem, Doc.
Appreciate it. Have a good night, man.
Good night. Yeah, man. So Connor's one of those dudes, man. Like one of those kids when he first reached out to me, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go on the show thinking like, like. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and she watches football too, and I feel like she knows her stuff pretty good. You get on the camera with Connor, and I was just like, oh crap, I was not prepared. I needed to bring to dot the I's, cross the T's, because this kid knows football. Like he knows ball and he knows the New York Jets. Like well-spoken, man. Like his channel has been a joy to watch, seeing him right now with Jets X Factor. The kid is doing things that I think most content creators wished we were able to do, not just at his age, but like now, right? The dude is just doing great things. Connor, I appreciate you for jumping on. Definitely going to get you on the show though, so we can go ahead and chop it up for an entire hour. But I'll say this, man. I'll admit it. I was not tracking Dorsey. I did not realize that Dorsey won. For some reason, he didn't even enter my mind because I didn't even see him in that assistant GM role across the NFL. Obviously, the director of personnel or president of personnel for the Lions is key. it still rings true with everything I was talking about when it comes to Ray Agnew, right? Bringing in that culture, understanding that rebuild. But this is a guy who's done it with multiple organizations. He in essence helped build the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I personally think I just had the Connor convinced me. I'm shifting my list. I think Dorsey's that dude. He's gonna be the guy. I'm gonna do some more research after this to kind of like make sure I'm aligned with him. But I know Connor knows his stuff. I just think at this point, man, like it's a rebuild. If you're a Jets fan, just be ready for it. It's a full rebuild. This maybe not a full because there are some good pieces on this team. There is talent on this roster. I'm not gonna pretend like everybody sucks because the season sucked. I think we're gonna need to get a coach that can go ahead and really impact this roster, and a coach that can go ahead and get buy-in from these guys again. Because I kind of feel like with the style of freaking firing, we lost some of the buy-in from some of these guys, and to me that sucks. I feel like professionals are professionals. You go ahead, you know what I'm saying? You're getting paid to play, to win games. And I don't know, man. I don't know if this current regime can instill that fire or that passion for this current roster. So I want the new regime. But Dorsey right now, thanks again, Connor. I'm looking forward to that article tomorrow being dropped on Jets X Factor because the GM hunt starts now. You know, Woody said it earlier. It starts today. And if you can get a guy like a Dorsey with that pedigree, that background, that says a lot, right? Giving him control of the reins to help rebuild this team. And again, he's got the experience as a GM. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I think Ray Agnew then now drops to my second option, but my coach passion right now is still Ben Johnson. I understand the appeal of the defensive minded head coach. This is what we've known as Jets fans for the last well, the last time we had success was, of course, with a defensive-minded head coach in Rex Ryan. I think the Adam Gase experience kind of like ruined it for us. But again, I'm talking about a real offensive coordinator, not the Nathaniel Hackett version that we got in Adam Gase as our head coach. A guy who rode Peyton Manning's coattails to success. I want a legitimate freaking mind, an offensive mind to come in here and just do fun stuff, right? Like, listen, I think the Bengals right now are in the conversation. Apparently, Zach Taylor is in the freaking. I'll take him too. I'll take freaking Zach as our head coach as well. Now, I don't have a problem with McDaniel per se. I just feel like McDaniel has become a dude that he's allowed the players to be more in control of his locker room, right? From what I've seen, I think that dynamic only works so much because once you lose control, you can't go to being a hard-nosed coach or a hard ass or anything. Like once you start off that way, it's hard to go back. So for me, I would love him as an offensive coordinator. You bring Ben Johnson in here as our head coach. You bring him in as our offensive coordinator. I would love that. I don't know if I would give him the reins as the head coach. But yeah, listen, this show has gone a little past the average time. The Jets are in full rebuild. This whole episode was about how the same old Jets, in all actuality, would have been a better outcome than what we've experienced this season. But it is what it is. This is who we are now as Jets fans, and we get to watch this season. I don't believe the Jets are going to lose out because why would they? Because they're going to start winning games now since it doesn't matter. So I hope we get to ruin some seasons for other teams. So now I'm rooting for the Jets to ruin other team seasons because that's all we got in Misery Loves Company. That's the show. That's the show. But before I jump off, I wanted to go ahead and do something special for my my fire team members. Listen, fire team members, man, y'all been riding with me since I was able to go ahead and have fire team members, to have channel members. And I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the love of all of you guys watching the show. For some reason or the other, I've lost about like 10 subscribers in the last freaking like 30 days. I don't know if it's just Jets fans just canceling their YouTube accounts because this team has been a nightmare or what, but I've lost about 10 freaking subscribers, and that's cool. But my freaking fire team has been ride or die, man. These guys have continued to ride with me and support the channel. It's because of them I'm able to go ahead and do cool stuff like get stuff for giveaways, make sure I got the nicest and coolest audio stuff to go ahead and make sure I'm sounding crisp and clear for the show. So I wanted to do a thank you to Gunny's fire team for my fire team members. and do a little giveaway. So tonight's giveaway, we're going to go ahead and just do it live. I'm going to go ahead and share the spinning wheel with you guys. And we're going to go ahead and pick a winner for a pretty awesome giveaway. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So it's been a while since the Jets have won anything, right? Like I know right now, currently they suck, and it's an embarrassment to us as fans. But there was a time not too long ago where the Jets were a very respectable organization, and they brought us joy. They brought us joy, and they made us proud. And the last time we saw that, there was a guy, a wonderful guy that we all freaking loved and admired. And yeah, so I'm doing a Nick Mangold autographed mini helmet giveaway to say thank you to the Fire team members for their support, sticking with me through thick and thin. I know it's been a bunch of negative Jets content because this is what they're giving us to work with, but you guys continue to be freaking supporters. And for that, I wanted to say a special thank you to my Fire team members. So to Knobcraft, Jason Edwards, Infrared Jets, Vero Beach, New York Jets, E Boogie, proud New York Jets fan, and Wolf of Gotham. I appreciate you guys for being Fire team members, man. Y'all been riding with me for several months now, ever since freaking the channel could accept team members. I've been writing some articles for you guys, giving you guys some content. But today, I want to go ahead and make sure that I gave one of you guys an autographed Nick Mangold mini helmet to remember the good times, because it's been a while since we've had them. So why not have some type of a win here during the holiday season? So without further ado, we're going to have the spin happen. And then whoever wins, I'm going to pick two individuals, first and second, of course. If the first person that gets it wins, I'll be shipping that out to you. If not tomorrow, it'll be Thursday. Actually, it'll probably be tomorrow. I want to get this out the door to you. And if you don't respond to me tonight, then it'll probably be the second person that gets it. So without further ado, click the spin. All right. And it's spinning. It's spinning. And it is, Vero Beach, New York Jets. You have won the first spin. I think I saw you in the, yeah, you're right here. So Vero didn't go anywhere. So Vero Beach, New York Jets. Yeah, you've won. So shoot me an IM. Yeah, just shoot me on IM either on Instagram or Twitter, or in fact, just shoot me one in our group chat as well. And then I can go ahead and get your address and get this out to you tomorrow. But in case you jumped off Vero Beach, no, you didn't. You're still here. All right. So I'll do the second place anyway, just in case you don't send me your address, which I doubt is going to be the case. So for the second spin, in case Vero Beach doesn't send me his address, to go ahead and send it to him, it's going to be, so E Boogie, you're going to be the backup winner, just in case Vero doesn't reach out to me in time. But I doubt that's going to be the case. So Vero, I will get this out to you tomorrow, man. Just get me your address in our group chat for the Fire team. So that's that. You know, the Jets ain't bringing wins to the fan base. Figured I'd do something to go ahead and bring wins to, you know what I'm saying, to the fan base. It is what it is. Without that, good night, y'all. Good night. Hopefully you guys can go ahead and enjoy the rest of the season, whether it's through fantasy football or hopefully it's, you know, watching other teams you don't like lose. You know what I'm saying? I'll be rooting against, of course, every other AFC East team. I want to see them all catch L's because, you know, misery loves company. But that's the show for tonight. I appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me. This is the Hangar Hangout episode 32. Looking to do some fun things for episode 50 when we get there. We're almost there. So have a good night. As always, go Jets. And yeah, I guess the rebuild starts. Well, I guess it started on Sunday.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations.